All right. Thanks to everyone for coming out on a Sunday night as well. Thanks to Joe Lyle being here. It's a big-time honor to have Joe running the show video-wise, to have Joe's awesome wife Ann here, and to have my beautiful wife Emily here. We got all the VIPs here tonight as they play on their phone and don't listen to a word that I'm saying right now as well. So great to have our friends from Netflix here as well. They've been hanging out with us tonight for our awards banquet, and that's why everybody's still dressed up. Y'all can keep texting and talking and planning bowl destinations. I'm just messing with you. Now you're like all serious, like I got to pay attention now. You're fine. I'm used to it as well. But no, great to have everybody from Netflix here. Just came from our awards banquet across the street at the stadium that we do at the end of the season, and I never knew how much I missed doing a Sunday night postseason press conference, because we didn't get to do it last year. So thank God we're back in here talking about this again with y'all as well. And appreciate you working with us time-wise and coming over here on a Sunday evening. Certainly been a whirlwind last week, and since I saw you guys last on signing day, it's been a whirlwind 48 hours. I mean, 2 nights ago, I'm singing Wagon Wheel on stage with Darius Rucker. Then the very next day, I'm in Atlanta doing TV work. And while I'm there, I find out that we are losing a coach, which I knew was a possibility. But, find that out right before the game, which is tough when you're in the middle of getting ready to do TV stuff and whatnot as well. And then to come back over here today, or get back here last night from Atlanta and then be here today, and just the roller coaster of, I don't want to say emotions, but thinking you're going here, then maybe you're going here, and then you're, trying to figure out is this game going to happen? Is this game going to happen? And whatnot. And in the end, couldn't be more fired up about where we're going. If you're not in the playoff, this is the best possible destination to be going to, and it's nothing against any other bowl, but they chose us, and that's a strong statement that after the playoff teams, the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl gets their choice of an SEC team. And there's a lot of SEC teams out there, a lot of them that are ranked that aren't in the playoff. And for them to say, we want the South Carolina Gamecocks is a huge, it's just an awesome statement. And can't thank them enough. And that's what I would say to them is thank you for the opportunity to come down there and compete in Orlando here at the end of the month as well. I know we're already excited. Coach Tanner was just telling me at the awards banquet across the street that we've already sold out of our initial allotment, and we've already had to call back down to Orlando and ask for more tickets as well. And based on the number of people outside of coaching that are friends of ours here in Columbia that Emily's told me about, there's a lot of people that have already booked plane tickets and hotels to go down there as well. So we certainly need to take over Orlando like we did Jacksonville a couple years ago. This is a bowl game that we haven't been to in a while. I know our fans are going to be excited, and when the playoff committee did what they did, said what they said last Tuesday night, and it was pretty evident that we weren't going to be in the playoffs, immediately we went to work on our bowl destination. And credit to Coach Tanner. I've been wearing him out this week about talking to bowl reps and getting us in the best situation possible and why we are an attractive team. And he didn't need me to tell him that. He knew that. So credit to him, because he worked his butt off, and he's tired of me calling him and texting him throughout the day about bowl destinations. But I wanted to make sure that our players who have done so much this season got the opportunity to go out the right way in a great bowl game like we're going to be playing in. So appreciate Coach Tanner, appreciate the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl for inviting us, choosing us, and we need our fans to answer the call, though. Our players are really excited about being in this game based on the text messages I was getting from them after it was announced. Lenoris was actually in my office when I found out, and he was excited. Got up, gave Coach Tanner a bear hug when I found out, to him as well. So fired up about this as well, and we're excited to get down there, and we need our fans to show that as well and have a great time down there in Orlando. I know the Beamer children are excited about this trip as well. I think I've set a record now for using the word excited in the first 5 minutes of a press conference, so I'm going to try and find a different word as well. Looking back to yesterday, excited for Dow. Great compliment to him, testament to him fired up for him and Beth to get the opportunity to go to a great program up in Boone and become a head coach. And he would be the first to tell you it's a credit to the players and staff here at Carolina, but he's worked really, really hard for the opportunity. And like I told him, based on the way that we played offensively at the end of the season and Lenoris as a quarterback, there were going to be other opportunities. And for him, don't just take the first one, make sure it's the right one. And he went up to Boone and spent the night a couple nights ago, and he called me yesterday and told me that he really felt it was the right one and this was the direction that he was going. So wish him well for sure. Busy week coming up. Obviously, when you have success, coaches get head coaching opportunities. Players get individual award opportunities. So Kyle Kennard tomorrow night will be in Charlotte, or I'll be up there in Charlotte with some of our coaches and Kyle for the Gursky Award, which he's a finalist for. And then Wednesday night out in Houston for the Lombardi Award, which he is a finalist for. So busy week for guys like Kyle and really our entire team because of exams. Exams are starting up this week, and then we'll get back to doing some working out, weight room, running here at the end of the week. Give the guys the weekend off, and then graduation's a week from Monday. Got 13 players that'll be graduating on Monday to go along with 28 that have already graduated. They're on our football team right now, which is an unbelievably powerful statement. So we got to finish up exams strong this week and get a little bit of rest mentally and physically. And then the coaches will spend this week recruiting, portaling, and then working on Illinois for sure. But great bowl. I was thinking about it the last time that I was a part of this bowl game was coming off a disappointment, if you will. For us, it's not being in the playoff, which if we're not in the playoff, as I said, this is the next best thing. And the last time I was down there, I was a graduate assistant at Tennessee back in 2001. And that was the year, obviously, of 9/11. And we were supposed to play Florida the week of 9/11, and that game got pushed back to the first weekend in December. And we went down to Gainesville. Coach Spurrier was the head coach. They were loaded. We were loaded, and we beat them in Gainesville to get into the SEC championship game. And then we went into the SEC championship game versus Nick Saban and LSU. And knocked out whoever their start. Rohan Davey, I believe, was their starting quarterback. And then Matt Mock came in the game, and LSU ended up beating us in the SEC championship game. And there was no playoff back then. So if you won the game, you were going to the national championship. And we were going to play Miami in the Rose Bowl. And we lost to LSU. And Coach Fulmer will tell you that's probably the toughest loss he ever had as the head coach at Tennessee. But we were then invited to go to the Citrus Bowl, and we played Michigan in Orlando to finish out the 2001 season, won that game convincingly over Michigan, and finished the season the right way. So it's funny that, our guys last week at this time thought we had a chance to be in the playoff or not. That was a disappointment, but there's a lot of excitement. There, I said it again. There's a lot of fired upness about being in Orlando to finish out the season the right way down there against a great opponent in Illinois. Got a ton of respect for Coach Bielema, and he and I have already talked on the phone earlier today. Much respect for his program. He feels the same way about our program. Should be a great matchup, and looking forward to getting down there. So, questions?
Shane, I don't know how much time or room you got to actually watch Illinois over the season or highlights or whatever. What do you think about him? What's kind of the early scouting report from them?
I wish I could tell you more. I really haven't seen them a lot, David. I watched a little bit of their game, either in a hotel or at home when they played Oregon. Maybe saw some of that game. They played somebody. I want to say they played either on a first game of the season is maybe on a Thursday night or a Friday night or something, and I've seen them a little bit just on television, but haven't dove deep into their team. But obviously they're in a great league, a league that got 4 teams in the playoff, and they found a way to be one of the best teams in that conference. So that we know they'll be tough, physical Big Ten football team. Coach Bielema's won everywhere that he's been, and I know it'll be their group will be excited. He was telling me earlier tonight, I think they've got 17 players on their team from the state of Florida. So there'll be a lot of guys on his team that are fired up about going back home, and will be a great matchup.
Obviously, with tomorrow being the first day of the portal being open, what's sort of your expectation before then? And obviously, y'all have had a handful of guys who've already announced they're leaving. Do you expect or anticipate anyone else doing that?
Yeah, we've had some guys that announced they were going in or decided to go in. Every conversation I had has been good. Guys just looking for opportunities to go somewhere and play a little bit more, and certainly understand that and wish those guys well. In regards to tomorrow, there's guys that have already announced that they're going in the portal, which some of those we're certainly eager to talk to, and it'll be good to be able to connect with them tomorrow for the first time as well. And then we'll see what happens. It's the beginning of the portal window, but we've talked about it as a staff. There's certainly we've got to attack the portal and we've got to get better. And you look at the guys that we brought in from the portal last year, two of the most impactful guys that we've had, Torricelli Simpkins and Demetrius Knight. Those were two guys that we didn't even add until late in the portal window being open. So we're not going to, attack everything tomorrow where we're done with our football team by tomorrow night. It's a process, but certainly there's some guys that we're eager to talk to tomorrow. And in regards to anyone else on our team deciding to do anything, I hope not, but that's just the lay of the land and in college football nowadays. So we'll see what happens, but I think we're in a pretty good place. But you always anticipate stuff going the wrong way too.
Shane, you've now had, I think Dal's your third coach that's been on your staff and gone on to be a head coach at other schools. What does that say about, you're now 4 years into your tenure, you've got a few guys that from your coaching tree that have already moved on to other jobs as a head coach?
It says that we've got great people here in this program that believe in this place, that everyone makes each other better. It says that I'd love to pat myself on the back, Jack, and say that I'm a great evaluator of coaches and whatnot as well. But no, it just means that we've won some football games and that I hired some really good people. And when you hire really good people, other people know it. And we've hired really good people, really good coaches. You want people to get those opportunities at other places as well, whether it be Pete and Jody last year or Dow now. If guys have an ultimate goal of being a head coach, you want them to be able to achieve their goals. And I tell our coaches all the time that I want to help you. I don't want you ever leaving for a lateral move, but at the end of the day, your happiness and your goals are important to me. And if there's any way that I can help, please let me know. So credit to them. And Pete had an awesome year. He just texted me about our bowl destination. I can't wait to see the pictures of Pete and the boys from Buffalo down in the Bahamas where they're going to be for their bowl game as well. That'll be a shock to the system as well, coming out of Buffalo, headed down there. But I'm just really happy for Dow, really happy for Jody last year, really happy for Pete last year, and hate losing people. I do. I mean, Emily and I were at a friend's house for a little dinner party last year when Pete called to tell me he was taking the job, and it's a bittersweet moment that you're happy for him, but you're sad to see him go. I was standing in Atlanta getting ready to go on SEC Nation and go into the stadium when Dow called me, and it's a bittersweet moment. You hate to see him go, but you're excited for him when they're excited for the opportunity too.
With the portal opening and classes ending and all that stuff, is filling the OC job immediately a top priority for you? And are there any guys in-house that you would consider a strong candidate?
As far as the OC, I want to make sure I get the right guy in here. Certainly with the portal being open, with guys making decisions on NFL, bowl game, there's a lot of guys that have decisions to make. I'm not naive to that. And you'd love to have it done sooner than later, just for clarity for guys that are trying to make decisions on their futures as well. I'm well aware of that, but I also don't want to rush it just to say that I hire somebody. So I've got when you have the success that we had this season, you anticipate your coaches being very popular. And as I mentioned to you guys the other day at the press conference, that's part of it. And you're always kind of planning, if this guy were to leave, what you would do. And we got a lot of guys that want to be here, but if a guy like Dow gets an opportunity to go be a head coach, you're fired up for him, and you have a plan. Okay, this happens. This is what I'd want to do. And certainly when the news broke yesterday, like I said, Hunter and I were in Atlanta, and my phone just starts buzzing like crazy of people that want to come here, because with our quarterback situation and our situation as a team, this is a very attractive position to many people as well. And then to answer your question in regards to anyone in-house that I would consider, yes, absolutely. You can sit down, Coach Sander, if you want. I was just calling you to make sure I have my facts right about we've already sold out the initial allotment and we've requested more. I just wanted to make sure that was accurate. I came in here and I ran with it, so that's good to know that I said the right thing as well. Also, and we just came from our awards banquet where we hand out awards that our players vote on, some awards that our coaches vote on, and this year we gave out the very first ever, the inaugural Ray Tanner Award that goes to the player in our program that best embodies dedication to the game of football and dedication to the University of South Carolina, which is what Coach Tanner has done in his time as baseball coach and then AD for all he's accomplished at South Carolina, his dedication to the game of baseball, to Gamecock athletics in general. Certainly he's deserving of an award named after him, and this year's recipient, the first ever recipient, was Tonka Hemingway. So great honor for Tonka because he absolutely embodies what it means to be a Carolina Gamecock and what it means to love and be dedicated to the game of football.
And we'll send out all the list of winners later tonight.
Hey, Shane.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you.
You too. Obviously, the perception probably for some fans over the last couple of years with the expansion of the college football playoff, their perception of the college bowl season might be a little different, but at the same time, too, tremendous opportunity, tremendous reward for a hard season. South Carolina's only won 10 games or more 4 times in program history. You guys have an opportunity to do that. How special would that be? And what would you tell this fan base, especially the importance of them coming out there and what it could do just for the future?
It's very important for sure. It's one thing that we talked about as a team last week after what happened on Tuesday night, that if the playoffs don't happen, we compete around here, and the next opportunity we get to compete will be to go win a 10th game potentially, which has only been done 4 times since 1892, and really be add your name to the legendary teams around here at the University of South Carolina. So our guys are really looking forward to the opportunity. And I'm not, I don't want this to come across the wrong way that, man, I'm glad we didn't get in the playoff but in some ways, the playoff's tough. And I've said it in here before, or somebody asked me on an interview, may not have been in here, about the playoff. And the one thing that I didn't like about the playoff is if you play a first-round game and you lose, your season's over. And there is no bowl game. And the playoff, as great a town as South Bend, Indiana is, Indiana, the University of, is not going to South Bend to spend 4 days in South Bend on like a bowl trip. And who's playing Penn State? SMU. SMU is not going to go spend a week in State College and go visit Hershey, PA, and see like the chocolate factory and stuff. And bowl games are special. And the fact that we get to, and again, this isn't Shane saying, man, I'm glad I'm not in the bowl game because I get to do this. In a playoff. We would have loved to have been in a playoff. But the opportunity that we get to go spend a week in Orlando, we'll go down there on the 26th, I think is when we arrive. So we got a week there together as a team, and our players and our coaches' families getting to experience all the amazing things there in Orlando or whatnot. Is an awesome opportunity that our players are really looking forward to, and that's why so many guys were looking forward to hopefully this game working out, which is why there was a lot of jubilation. There's a great word, jubilation, when this thing came out as well. You like that, Lulu, huh? I thought you were reacting to my jubilation comment as well. Something breaking news must have just happened. You're not paying attention to me either, just like my wife wasn't as well on that laptop. But there was great excitement, I'll back to that, about being in this game with our players because they know that this is a great opportunity, and the cool trip and the things that I would say to our fans is we've had an awesome year. We just talked about all the things that this team has accomplished in 2024. And this is an opportunity to go, celebrate these guys, have some fun, and have an opportunity to have an opportunity to go win a 10th game if we play well against a really good team. It should be a great matchup, great bowl game, and bowl games are special. I know in the era of the playoff that some people feel like bowls take a back seat, but not me. The bowl games are I'm glad they're part of the playoff aspect and that they're implemented, and I'm glad that we get to experience a great one this year.
You had to do this. Excuse me. You had to do this 2 years ago with the offensive coordinator change before a bowl game. Did you learn anything from that month of prep when you kind of had an interim play caller that you would take into this year trying to do the same thing?
Yeah, if you go into a game with only one healthy tight end, make sure you have a better plan if that tight end gets hurt honestly. We went into the game with one healthy tight end, and that was Nate Atkins. And Nate Atkins got hurt, and we were, part of my language, screwed at that point because we didn't have another healthy tight end, and we had to kind of get creative, and we should have had a better plan. So, and I'm not trying to be funny, it's true. Just looking at, I hope we have a full roster of guys that people are on the Gamecock football team right now are going to go to Orlando, and I'm optimistic that they all will. But the fact of the matter is, you guys have seen it. We've had some tight ends that have gone in the portal since the end of the season. We've got Brady Hunt that's coming off an injury. Will he be healthy or not? So just making sure that we have a plan from a personnel standpoint that allows us to be great no matter what were to happen going into the game. But no, I thought everything in that bowl game, Alan, 2 years ago, went well for the most part. Freddie called the plays. Freddie Kitchens did that day, but it was a collaborative effort with the entire coaching staff, the guys that were on that staff at that time. They all stayed intact, except for the Marcus that had left to go to Nebraska, but everybody else was there, and it was a collaborative effort. It's a little bit different and not helpful, but it's different in the fact that we now have, 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks until we play. So you got a lot of time to really, game plan as well. So whether it's, Dow Loggins calling plays in the bowl game or whether it's someone else calling plays in the bowl game, we're still working through all that, and all those things are still on the table. But whatever we do, we've got almost a month to prepare, and we'll have a great plan to go down there and be at our best for sure.
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry.
Okay.
South Carolina women's basketball is playing right now,
Okay.
and as you said that, Ashlyn Watkins dunked.
Oh my
in a
God!
game.
Well, that deserves
so,
a.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate. Okay.
It's kind of like an audible gasp when I think my wife read on social media one of your projections earlier today for like the bowl, and she was surprised, not in a bad way, surprised at who it might be. So.
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she saw that somewhere. So, yep, exactly. I'm like, hey, chill out. We're going to be happy. Whatever bowl game we go to, it's going to be great.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you. Okay. Anyways, obviously, college football, it's not like every week is normally, smooth sailing, but it's been a little chaotic. There's just been a lot of changes. Obviously, new AD, going to be a new OC, the whole college football playoff emotions, just with graduation, everything kind of happening right now, even the holidays. Just what is your approach as the leader to kind of balancing a lot of these different emotions, whether that's sadness over some players, teammates leaving, portal, just everything that's kind of coming to a head right now?
Yeah. Emily will tell you December is a lot, good and bad. Last year, December was not a lot of good just because we weren't going to a bowl game and there was a lot happening. This year, December's really good because of the season we just had, the win over Clemson last week. We've got 9 wins. We're going to an amazing bowl game, but it's still a lot just because there's so many things that you're balancing as well. And it's worrying about what you can control, which is the head coach. You control a lot of that as well. So it's a bunch on my plate. It's a bunch on all of our plates, but there's a bunch on my plate. But each and every day, I think you just kind of attack each day and try and just move the program. I've said this before, just move the program forward each day and be better at the end of it and expect the unexpected as well. I thought we were kind of through it all last year, and Emily and I took the kids to New York City for 2 or 3 days before Christmas last year, and thought it was going to be a great little relaxing trip. And while I'm up there, I get 2 phone calls from guys that are entering the portal that you think are okay. So you never really just totally relax in the month of December because there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of stuff happening right now in college football, no question about it. But there's so much positives here at Carolina with what we've done and where we're going and moving forward that it's a long way from last year in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of similarities too. And just keep controlling what you control and keep getting better. I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
You said when Coach Tanner gave you the bowl news, you were meeting with Lenoris. What's it been like these last 24 hours? I would imagine there's a lot of guys who have questions about who's going to be their next offensive coordinator, and how do you answer those?
Yeah, I talked to Lenoris last night. I talked to Lenoris last night and had texted him, hey, can we get together? Let's just talk, because I didn't want to do it over the phone. He was at an event last night and didn't want to take away from that because he was trying to just be a regular college student last night at the thing he was at when I talked to him late. And So we met today just to kind of talk and catch up on some things and get his opinion on stuff. Certainly, you want to bring somebody in here or hire somebody that can connect with him and continue to make him better. I'm not dumb. But as I told him, and would tell all of our players too, it's when you win, guys get opportunities, and the program's going to be fine and continue to move forward. Whether it be when Kirby Smart left the University of Alabama to go to Georgia and be a head coach, or when Dan Lanning left the University of Georgia to go be a head coach at Oregon, or Lane Kiffin left the University of Alabama to go to FAU to be a head coach, or Steve Sarkisian left Alabama as the offensive coordinator to go to the Falcons as the coordinator maybe. There's a lot of guys that get head coaching opportunities from coordinator positions, and you hire great people and you have people in place, and it becomes an attractive position to people on the outside or promoting people from within, and we've got some flexibility. So that's what I would say is to our players, really congrats to Dow as well, but it's a testament to what we have done as a program, and we'll continue to move forward and continue to get better. And Dow's work has allowed us to hopefully get somebody in here even better. And I don't mean that as a knock on Dow, but that's always the goal, to try and get even better people in here as well, which will be tough to do. Dow's been fantastic and going to miss him. Great recruiter, great coach, but looking forward to what's next as well.
I don't want to speak for you, but since you believe that your team should be in the playoff, you can't believe that the committee got it right. So as you take a step back and look at the whole process, what are a couple of things that you think they need to improve on when they go through this whole thing again next year?
There's a lot, I think, that can be as I said, Phil, I was in Atlanta yesterday with a lot of media members, with a lot of people from the SEC office, players and coaches on both teams, fans, and heard from a lot of them about their opinion about Gamecock football, and it was very positive. I think my biggest frustration right now was maybe just the inconsistencies of what's important. Injuries were a factor last year. Florida State got left out. And I know there were only 4 teams compared to 12. Injuries were a factor last season, but apparently injuries weren't a factor this season when you look at our quarterback situation when he gets hurt on the last play of the LSU game, and we've got 265 yards of offense at that point. And, still had an opportunity to win that game, but that is a factor to me. Is strength of schedule important or not? Is it just important to go win games and it doesn't matter who you beat? This year, apparently, that strength of schedule didn't matter because we've got 4 ranked wins in the month of November alone. And there's teams in the playoffs that are over. I think I read that there's 3 or 4 teams that haven't even beaten a ranked team this year, if I'm not mistaken. So how are they going to look at strength of schedule? I know the chairman, I read a quote today that said the chairman said they absolutely look at it. Well, no, they don't. Can't tell me they do. Is injuries a factor? And then I'll have a hard time, Phil, ever getting over his comments on Tuesday night that no matter what happened this weekend, nothing was going to change. That really bothers me. We didn't play. Alabama didn't play. Miami didn't play. Ole Miss didn't play. But when you sit there and you say we're going to evaluate the total body of work, how in the heck you don't take into account South Carolina just beat the ACC champion on their home field 7 days ago, and that's not I said I'm not going to use the D word and the P word. How that's not a factor in the playoffs, that one is mind-boggling. And again, the committee has a tough job, and as I said, I know we're flawed. Ole Miss has some flaws. We lost head-to-head. I get all that, but to sit there and say we're not going to evaluate South Carolina further after tonight or after their Clemson game because their resume is complete, that's bullcrap. I mean, we beat the ACC champion, and to say we're not going to take a step back, really reevaluate everything, determine the 12 best teams, I have a hard time with that one. So are we evaluating the total body of work, or are we just evaluating what makes things convenient for your rankings? That's what I would say.
on that note, with you guys being in the playoff discussion, at least there's, you're hyper analyzing the resumes, and I'm sure there's times when you go back and think, oh, if this happened in the LSU game or if this happened in the Bama game, then XYZ. But do you think having those losses for this current team made them able to win the games like you had at Mizzou and go on the road in Clemson? You think those lumps early help make this team what it is now?
I do. And that's not to say that if we had beaten LSU and beaten Alabama that we wouldn't have won those other games. Who knows? I mean, those are all hypotheticals. But you guys have heard me say this before. I truly believe this. When you go through shared struggles, it brings people closer. We went through some shared struggles last season, going 5-7 in the heartbreaking, disappointing season that we had. We absolutely had some shared struggles in the first 6 weeks of the season. And those shared struggles brought that group together. I mean, I can remember we lost to Ole Miss, and I can remember being at home that night, and Emily will tell you this, we had family and friends over at the house, and they're in the living room, and I just went outside. One of my favorite areas in our house is just a, outdoor area, back porch. It's screened in and has a fireplace and TV, and I love sitting out there. And I just went out there the night after the Ole Miss game and just called our seniors and talked to them on the phone, just one after one, and just hearing the hurt and the frustration and the disappointment in their voice. Those were shared struggles. And my job as the leader, there's confusion about how did we just lose 27-3 and why are we, whatever our record was at that point, 3-2, I think, trying to give them some clarity on how to move forward. And we went through those shared struggles together, and then we came back the next week, and we were 23-point underdogs, and we played our rear ends off at Tuscaloosa and had a chance to win the game a couple times, and we didn't get it done. And that heartbreak. And I came in that press conference in Tuscaloosa after the game and remember talking to you guys that were there. Y'all didn't have chairs, which I apologize for. Y'all had to sit in the floor. But talking about enough's enough, and we're going to get this thing right, and the frustration and the disappointment and the hurt. And those guys came even closer together through those shared struggles and propelled us into what we did the last 6 weeks. So there's no doubt in my mind those things have us more battle-tested, hardened, whatever you want to call it, because of what we went through. Do I wish we had gone through them? No, I wish we had won those games and then won 6 in a row. But it is what it is, and I think it'll be a great lesson going forward that ultimately, I'm not questioning – I'm not saying anything in regards to the playoff other than just at the end of the day, we left it in other people's hands. We didn't win games. If you're 10-2, we're in the playoff, and we're not. We're 9-3. And it's a great lesson. Don't leave it in other people's control. Don't leave it in other people's hands. And understanding – what a thin line it is. There's a thin line. It's 1 or 2 plays from beating Missouri or not beating Missouri. It's 1 or 2 plays from beating Alabama, not beating Alabama. And just understand in this league, man, the margin for error is small and everything counts.
I guess kind of on that topic with just how the whole format is structured, 12 teams, and the leagues are just no divisions. Are there things like that could be adjusted long-term moving forward that you think would make things a little easier for a committee and for teams to understand and just the whole nine?
Yeah, I think y'all need to get Coach Tanner up here and grind him like one more press conference before he's done as well, because those are all things he and the ADs talk about. I think everything's on the table, certainly. You can say what you want. This is the best conference in America. And for us to only have 3 teams in the playoff is a shame. And I don't think you can truly say you got the 12 best teams in the playoff year after year, and only three SEC teams are in it when we've won however many of the last national championships. And best of luck to those teams that are playing in it. I hope Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas, one of them goes and wins it all. But I think you've got to look at that, no question about it. Automatic bids. I think everything's on the table, and you go into the playoff and 25 and this year and next year the same or whatever it is, and then you reevaluate going forward. And certainly the leaders across college athletics, the commissioners, the ADs, whoever else will figure out, how to continue to make it better. And this is the first one. It'll be great. I mean, I'm hurt that we're not in it, but I'm excited to watch. And it'll be great for the fans to have home games at the 4 locations. I mean, that's awesome. But like anything, there's always ways to tweak it and make it better, and for everyone. And whether it's the Big 12, the Big 10, the ACC, the SEC, the group of 5, whatever it is, let's continue to find ways to to make it better. But, you're sitting there watching the rankings come out today, and it's a lot of thoughts going through your head when you see the teams that pop up there.
Two quick ones for you. I know you like letting the guys announce if their future intentions, if they're going pro or opting out or what have you. But did anybody share with you tonight that they definitely plan on playing in the bowl game?
Plan on playing?
Yeah, plan on playing.
I've had guys before tonight tell me they definitely plan on playing, seniors that want to get this 10th win. I haven't had anyone tell me they're not. I met with some guys last week in my office individually, John, about their decision. They're still certainly on the fence, but I can tell you this, there's a strong groundswell, if you will, downstairs in that locker room within the team to go get this 10th win, and that's being talked about a lot as well. So we're going to give, like I said, give our guys a little bit of time this week to get away and refresh mentally and physically, and then, come back at the end of the week, first part of next week, excited about getting started, and hopefully we'll have everyone still intact to do that.
And with Dowell, is it him trying to decide whether it's something he can do, stay around and call plays, or is it you trying to decide what's best for the program?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. Our initial conversations yesterday were he wanted to stay and coach in the bowl, and my initial thoughts yesterday were that I wanted him to as well. But there's also, this was before he announced the job, and as he's finding out what I found out when Coach Tanner offered me the job 4 years ago, last Thursday or Friday, whatever it was, there's a lot that comes at you when you say yes and it gets announced that you don't expect. And he's realizing that right now. And it's a lot. It was hard for me balancing being the head coach and going back to Oklahoma to coach the tight ends in the Big 12 championship game against Iowa State. There was a lot on my plate. He's an offensive coordinator doing the same thing in an era of transfer portal and NIL, which I didn't have to deal with when I first got hired. There was a portal, but it wasn't quite like it is right now as well. So we don't have to decide anything right now. We'll see how he handles this transition, and I want to do what's best for him, and I want to do what's best for our program also. So those are all things that we're working through. But initial conversations were, finish this thing out, which Kirby did when he took the Georgia job, and Dan did when he took the Oregon job, and I'm sure there's others that I'm not thinking of. Good. Thank y'all. Thanks for coming out on a Sunday night. See you soon.